Hey guys, I'm Zach.
And I'm Tim.
So, this is Plug and Play Podcast.
We talk about tech.
And video games.
Lots of video games.
Lots and lots of video games.
We talk about Kickstarters.
We talk about life.
We talk about game news.
I Can't Let You Win. We talk about video games.
I think we covered that.
I don't think so.
We also talk about craft beers.
Oh, we do talk craft beers.
That's probably our favorite part.
Exactly.
Gotta have our tasty treats.
Exactly. So guys, check us out on iTunes, Stitcher, and all of our social media, facebook.com/Plug and Play Show, and Twitter and Instagram @Plug and Play Cast. And as always, you guys can find us on iTunes @Plug and Play Podcast. So guys, take a seat, or hopefully you're not driving a car, but do something where you can legally grab a tasty treat, crack them open, and join us on the next episode of Plug and Play Podcast.
Cheers.
Hang on, how the fuck do I start it?
You hit the record button.
No, you got that. Okay, here we go. Welcome to the Minology Motorsports Podcast, Season 1, Episode 8. I'm Blake.
Well, I'm Marcus.
Marcus, we were on the road. We had the wife and the kids and her Focus. And we took the kids out to do some back-to-school shopping. And we were riding we rode all over town. Went to eat. We're getting ready to take them home. We probably drove over 100 miles that day with the kids in the car. And we heard this flapping sound coming from underneath the car, and at the same time the air conditioning cuts off, and I'm like, this isn't good. So we pull into this convenience store. The serpentine belt was coming apart. It runs everything under the hood, so if it was to snap all the way, we lose everything, well, except the timing. There's a separate belt for that. But I tell her, well, okay. I called my mom and say, look, can you come get the girls? The belt's about to break on the car. My mom says, yeah. She comes and gets them, takes them home. And then I told my wife, I said, all right, look, we can point the car back towards town and hope for the best, because it's not broke all the way yet. Or I may start the car and it may snap.
Yeah.
I said, so what do you want to do? And she's like, well, I don't want to she goes, at least right here, we're in a parking lot. So if something happens, we're off the side of the road. And I said, yeah, that's true. She called her sister, and her sister came and got us, took us 20 minutes to the parts store. That was another, 5 minutes from it's the one closest to my house. I pick up a belt, turn around, get my tools, drive back to that parking lot, and change the belt in the parking lot.
You should start keeping spares of everything in the boot of your car now.
Well, that's the thing, is her belt was squeaking like a week before, and I was like, you know what? I said, I need to go and order a belt for that. So I went ahead and ordered the belt and the tensioner and the idler pulley. I went ahead and ordered everything. It was going to be there on a Friday, and all this happened on a Wednesday. So I was like, well, of course. So I got a belt I haven't used yet. And I still haven't put the tensioner or the idler pulley on. And Ford, their radiators may be shit, but I do want to give them kudos for this tensioner design, because they put it at the very bottom. I just used the jack that came with the car and just raised it up enough to kind of get the wheel up off the ground.
Yeah.
And with that, you can put a socket and a wrench on there, and you can pull the tensioner right there from the bottom of the car. It's not stuck like halfway down on the side of the motor by the fender well. No, they've got it down at the very bottom where you can get to it.
It's almost as if they thought, hang on a minute, our car's an absolute pile of shite. Maybe we should make some things easy to change that are going to break often.
Right. Well, it's like everything comes out the bottom on that car. You can do the belt from the bottom. The radiator comes out the bottom. Everything's to the bottom on that car.
Does that mean that when the motor mounts finally go on that thing, the whole entire engine's just going to drop out the bottom? You're just going to roll straight over it in the car?
Probably. Yeah, it was end up running over its own engine. But so thank God that was easy to do, because that was one of those panic situations. I knew what had happened. I knew what I was going to have to do. There wasn't any way around it, but there were no tools with me. The belt was on the way. I had to buy another one. And if I would have, I bought the belt from Rock Auto that came in the mail anyway. But I was thinking if I just would have bought the belt, at a local store, and even if I didn't have it with me, I could have took this other belt. Could have took the belt back and at least got some money back. But I ended up with two belts and a tensioner and a pulley, which I still want to put on because I don't want it to the tensioner. It felt like it could be tighter than it was once I let the pressure off of it. So I need to go ahead and change that because it's probably never been changed at 210,000 miles.
Only a few miles then.
Oh yeah, so it's due for a change. I don't know if it's the last episode or the episode before I talked about getting a canopy for the yard to work under. And the first storm we had, the canopy blew over, and luckily it stayed in the yard. But I looked online and I found these weights that are more or less sandbags that attach to the poles of the canopy. I ordered those. They came in. I went and got like 4 bags of play sand and filled them up, and they're pretty heavy. I mean, they're probably, I don't know, they're heavy.
20 pounds?
Heavy enough to hold it down because we've had a couple storms since then, and the canopy's still standing, so they're doing their job.
Yeah, well, yesterday when I came back home, it was starting to gust up a little bit. Turns out my kid's 8-foot diameter trampoline was starting to make its way over the field, or trying to.
It was heading to the neighbors.
Yeah. So my friend and I ended up dragging it back down away from the trees, and I put 6 8-inch long 2 centimeter wide pegs into the ground on each set of legs,
right?
And ratchet strapped it all down as well, so that bastard's not going anywhere. So I feel your pain on that one.
Yeah, this is lucky. Last time all it did was blow over on its side. It didn't because I had taped all the poles together with electrical tape because I was trying to stand it up by myself to start with. So the tape was helping keep it together, but at least that way when it blew over the first time, it had all that tape on it, so it just blew the whole thing over on its side. It didn't fall apart, as it was blowing over. But now it's like I've got the canopy up and I got the weights on it and it's over the Accord, and now my only excuse is just my own laziness of not getting out there and getting anything completed with it. So I got a place to do it. I've got a covered place to do it. It's just a matter of not being so lazy.
I got to light a fire under your ass.
I know it. It's been I don't know. I don't even want to go into it because it's the same shit I say every month. But I'm just being lazy. But speaking of the Accord and being lazy, today, as a matter of fact, I started editing the cylinder head video.
Yeah.
Accord. Finally, 2 months after I took it off, I finally got around to starting to work on the video.
To be fair, I can't really talk. I've got 2, maybe 3 videos stuck in editing purgatory at the moment.
Yeah, I've got that one and one more right now, and there's about to be a couple more here pretty soon. But you edit on a Mac, I edit on a Windows PC, and it's like every time I work with Premiere, the computer decides it needs to do one of 2 things. One, it needs to start downloading updates. Or 2, it needs to run a virus scan. Every single time. It never fails. When I start using Premiere, one of those 2 things is going to happen. And it makes Premiere drag just way down. I even changed some of the settings in it to where you can allocate so much memory, so much RAM just to Premiere. I've got 13 gigs just for Premiere, and then 3 for other system processes. Then it still drags it down every single time. So I usually end up just having to wait 15 or 20 minutes to let it finish what it's got to do. Today, I just ended up saving it and went and made some French fries and then just never got back to it. So I got the first maybe 10 minutes of the video edited. I'm curious if our listeners and our YouTube viewers would be interested in more vlog style videos. The help videos, the repair videos seem to do pretty good.
Yeah.
But the blog style videos where it's just us doing our daily lives and our car stuff, I'm curious if people would be interested in that too. Because I've done a couple and they've done okay, but there's a lot of shit I do that I don't record. This mostly even car related. And it would give me a chance to get more content out, but I just want to know if it's going to be, would people be interested in something like that? You get to know Blake and Marcus a little better.
Yeah. Yeah, you can look at our ugly mugs a little bit more.
That's right. Like I'm about to take the valve cover and the intake manifold for the Accord to work and clean them up and repaint the valve cover, stuff like that. You know, take the cylinder head finally to the machine shop. I can make a video for that.
Yeah, well, maybe we should add a few more things in, such as like when we're going in there, not that we've done it and it's gone in, sort of add the nuts and bolts of our journeys and stuff like that in there a little bit more. Yeah, give me a chance to work on my editing skills for time lapse.
So I've got an idea of a video I want to make with the Accord, but I'm like, I need to do this vlog video first, because if I don't, then it's going to look weird when I start the video and half the Accord engine's missing, and if nobody watches the repair video, they won't know why it's missing.
Yeah, that's all fun and games at that point, really, isn't it?
Right. So if you want to see more vlog style videos, modologymotorsports@gmail.com and let us know, or just leave a comment on the YouTube page. I do have good news. It took long enough. One of the things I did get motivated to do today was update the Etsy site. Kinda. It shows that shipping is before it just said US and now it says US and Europe.
Ooh, there you go.
And stickers are in Marcus's hands as well to help with the shipping. So
they are indeed.
I've already got them halfway there. It's just a matter of them getting to you now. Marcus has got them. It's just a matter of getting to the listeners. So shipping in the U.S. is still free, and shipping from Europe, it'll just be determined as when you check out, the weight of the sticker is already in there. So just be determined off that, I assume.
Yeah, well, to be honest, it's not going to be much at all, to be fair. I mean, they're fairly smallish, you know.
Oh, yeah.
So not going to be too much. I mean, I was quite surprised it didn't take that much to get to me.
Yeah, well, what I was thinking it's going to be like, because I sent you half of what we had, and I was like, it's going to be like $15. And it was, what, $4.80 or something like that to mail them to you?
Mm.
And she goes, well, what is it? And I said, oh, it's some stickers. She goes, oh, well, you got to do a customs paper. I was like, oh, shit. And she goes, wait, hold on. She started typing something. And she goes, no, don't worry about it. And I said, okay. She goes, I just put it down as documents. I said, perfect. Yeah, that's what it's documents. Yes, it's documents.
So why would it cost more? Is it just because it's something that we're going to charge somebody else for?
I don't know. I think it's just, if I was to send you papers, that's fine. But if I was sending you materials, pretty much, I guess they want to know the country of origin and what it is for customs and stuff like that. But you got the documents. The documents are in your hands. And now we can
documents, yes. The documents are definitely in my hand.
And we can sell these documents to everybody in Europe now.
Indeed.
And then we got the U.S. and Europe locked down, and the rest of the world we're getting there. So like I said, I don't imagine it's going to cost too much to ship. So if you're not in Europe or the United States and you want a sticker, modologymotorsports@gmail.com, and let us know, and we'll see what we can do for you.
We'll attempt our utmost to send those documents to you post haste.
Yeah, we'll try to get the documents in your hands as well. The last thing I got for this episode, Marcus, so the dash cam video I talked about finally launched between the last episode and this one. And it did way better than I expected it was going to do at launch.
It was ridiculous.
I think we ended up at like 800 and something views the first day or first 2 days that it went up.
Yeah, I think we were cracking almost 1,000 by like late day 2.
I just kept checking the YouTube app, just refreshing it every few minutes. I was just watching the number go up and up and up.
Mm.
I told Marcus before the show, I said, I think everybody in my town has watched that video now. I've tried resharing it in some places. It's not getting as much interest as it did. And I was like, well, everybody's seen it already now. They're ready for number 2 to come out.
You've saturated the shit show that was people's driving in that area.
You know, I'd said before I was thinking about putting the dash cam videos out on like a seasonal basis, like every one in the spring, one in the summer. I think I've changed my mind, and because the video got kind of long at 15 minutes. So I think I'm going to collect the clips, and once I get to about 10 minutes with the clips edited, that's probably when I'll put the next video out.
Mm.
Which reminds me, I need to go get the cards and bring them in, because I know there's some stuff on mine, and my wife told me the other day that she has some clips on her, so it may not be that long until number 2 comes out.
You're going to have to start editing them in advance and just leave them to go up over time.
Right. Do you know what hurt us around here? Because it kind of dried up. People got a lot less crazy here recently. Georgia has a hands-free law now. It's a hands-free state, so you can't have your cell phone in your hand while you're driving anymore, or it's a ticket.
Mm.
So people aren't quite as distracted as they were, at least not at first. Everybody's been driving good, or they were driving good the week it went out. I mean, it's starting to get a little crazy again now, but it was it slowed everything down as far as dash cam clips, at least for a month. But I'm sure people will start to break the law a little bit. Everything will start picking back up. Well, that's all I got, Marcus. What do you got?
The initial kick is going to start wearing off.
Right. Everybody, they'll stop being afraid. They'll start getting ballsy again. Pick their phones back up.
Man, seriously, they've got the law over here. You get charged for like having your phone out and stuff like that. You get points on your license. At first, you saw a lot of people, not doing it anymore. And now, I mean, the other day, I stopped at a set of traffic lights, and no word of a lie, they went green for at least 2 or maybe 3, 4 seconds. On their side, it was red. There was no cars at that junction. And as I started to pull across the line where the traffic lights were, from my right, I just caught like a glimpse of a soft top coming towards. I was thinking, he's coming really fast.
Oh,
He comes flying through the red lights, barely missing the front end of my car. And you could see he was on a mobile phone. And I was like, wow, that would have been painful. I mean, he would have hit me at like 40 mile an hour easy. He was not even doing the speed limit, let alone paying attention to the lights. So he would have T-boned me in the driver's side at 40 mile an hour in the new car. And I was like, that is just ridiculous. So yeah, I need to get a dash cam on that car. Seriously.
Yeah.
I got my van back on Thursday.
Yay!
And I took it home, which is great. It drove really, really well. Went to work the next morning, and the coolant light came on.
Oh no!
Saying it was low, and I thought, well, it's just had an engine rebuild, top end of it. It could have feasibly had an airlock in it that's just sort of popped, and it then flooded in, and then it needed a top off. So I topped it off. It seemed to be fine. Got it back home, drove it back to work the next day, and the coolant line came on again. And I was stood there, and I was like, I can hear a little patting on the floor. Stuck my head underneath the engine. A slow but ever increasing puddle of coolant was coming out from underneath the van.
Oh no!
Yeah. So at that point, not particularly good. I topped it off again, took it home that day, and I rang up the guys there, and they were like, yeah. So I rang up the guys at the garage, and they were like, yeah, bring it back in, and if it's something that we've done wrong, then we'll fix it, and we won't charge you. I was like, cool, brilliant. So I took it in. They gave me a call later on. I think it was like a day later. And they got round to it because they're really, really busy at the moment. There's loads of vans and cars in. And they said, well, it's the good news, bad news thing. All right. Okay, what's the good news? Well, they said the good news is you don't have to pay for it. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, that's great. And the bad news is that it needs another new head.
Oh, shit.
So on the back end of the engine, there's like a cast, like a hose fitting. There was a small little crack where it cast into the block, and it was getting larger and larger and larger. And that basically fed the water jacket for the cylinders. If it had actually gone completely, then it would have dropped all of the coolant out all in one go, and I probably would have messed up the engine, something chronic at that point.
Yeah.
So I wasn't particularly happy. They were like, well, they're not completely happy because technically they've then got to do $2.5 grand worth of work and do it all over again. So they get that done. I get the van back. Drives really well. Drive it to work. 2 days later, oil light comes on.
Oh no.
All right, right, okay. I'll give it the benefit of the doubt because my engine beforehand did use a fair amount of oil, but technically I'd only done 162 miles since the head was changed. So I'm like, feasibly they would have topped off the oil of anything that disappeared off on when they were doing work on it.
Right.
And so I topped it up and closed the bonnet, and the oil light's still on. I'm like, right, okay. So I let it run for a little bit, turn it off, open it up, check the oil level. The oil level was perfect. So I topped it up right underneath the little max line. And I was like, right, okay. Close the bonnet, go round, turn the van on again. Oil light's still on. I'm like, right, okay. I take it home and stick the scanner on it on the OBD2 port that it has. Doesn't come up with any errors or anything like that. It is literally, I think, either one of two things. It's either going to be the oil level sensor, or the bonnet latch has a micro switch in it that when it closes, it resets the oil level fault, and it's not doing it. The problem is that the wiring goes down through into part of the harness that I can't get to, and if it turns out to be the sensor in the sump, then I've got to take off the bottom of the sump, and that's in a really weird place on that. And I don't know enough about these vans to do anything specifically, and I don't have a jack that can really deal that weight for any length of time. So I'm like, I'm out. I'm going to have to take it back over to get that fixed and see how much it's going to cost me. Hopefully, no more than a couple of £100. I'm hoping.
So,
More things to pay out on.
So besides that, is running okay?
Yeah, it seems perfectly fine. Doesn't puff out any smoke or anything like that. It passed its MOT with zero advisories, so they couldn't find anything else wrong with it at all. So, I've got an MOT for another year on it, but it's just not. I don't like the idea of not knowing whether or not my oil's dropping down. We'll find out what's going on with that. I mean, I don't blame the guys there. I mean, it's one of those things when those vans get to that sort of age, they start failing on certain things. And, cams, they do go on those engines, and when things do go over, I think it's like I'm rolling up to 100,000 miles on that thing, which isn't too bad, but it's had a hard life with the previous owner.
Uh-huh.
So, we'll see how it goes. But myself and my missus, unfortunately, are coming to the end of our tether with it, and we're seriously discussing whether or not we're just going to sell it. But we'll see. But that's pretty much the end of the van side of things. My dad got the new set of springs the other week, and initially when he got them, when he went in to pick them up, he turned around and he was like, "Can I just get you guys to check the spring rate on the springs?" And they checked them, and one of them was 150, and the other one was like 110.
Uh-oh.
So they were like, right, well, that's not right. You've got quite a discrepancy there. Apparently, they rang up the manufacturers, and the manufacturers turned around and said, well, that's within tolerance. And my dad's like, well, no. It's a bit ridiculous, unfortunately, when it comes to that. We're looking at it, and we got the new springs back. They were all good. He sat them all in there, took it out for a drive. Well, took it out for a race. The course is now oversprung, and the shock absorbers are struggling.
Oh, no.
So if it's not one thing, it's another, as per usual. So my dad's not really decided exactly what he's going to do next, but I keep on telling him that he needs to get the whole entire front end of the Corsa weighted, so that we can find out exactly or completely build the suspension setup from scratch on the front end for the weight of that vehicle, and not basically be a waste of time like my dad had with the gearboxes. So originally my dad had this really, really built engine and a standard gearbox in it. And no word of a lie, he'd probably blow a gearbox every maybe 2 or 3 meetings.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he just literally go over to a scrapyard and pay like 100 quid or something like that for another gearbox, and then come back. And I kept on telling him for ages. I think he went through like 7 gearboxes or something like that in like the latter end of a year. And I was like, right, you're going to need to get a proper gearbox. And it literally took me almost a whole entire year of myself nagging him until he got a brand new gearbox, which was like specifically for that engine. It was like straight cut gears and all the rest of it, and it was solid, absolutely solid. I just sat there and I was like, well, how many gearboxes did that cost you? And he was like, well, 4. And I said, well, false economy then, isn't it? So technically the cost of 4 gearboxes that he bought previously, because they were getting scarce, meant that, he could buy a purpose mount gearbox that's now lasted for 2 years. So, sometimes
Better value.
Yeah, exactly. You just got to look at the economy of it all to see whether or not it's actually worth it. And in that case, it was. But it took me so long to persuade him to do that. It was absolutely ridiculous. On this weekend as well, my dad went out for a race in the Corsa at my local circuit, which is 40 minutes away from me, called Castle Coombe. I made it there. I sat down. We went through it all, and he won his class by, I think it was like 0.2 of a second in the end. But he, from his practice lap or practice run that he had and his final lap, he managed to shave off 3.5 seconds.
Oh wow!
So he's really starting to get used to the new power delivery of the engine and the setup of the suspension and all the rest of it. And also figured out that one of his sets of tires, if he turned them around the wrong way, he actually got better grip in the dry. It was quite funny. But it's just strange how things like that happen. A little bit of messing around and all the rest of it can sometimes yield some really good results. But currently, at the moment, on points, my dad is winning the sprint series in our area, and I think he's running second in the autocross as well. Which means if he manages to do it again and get some really good points, he'll probably end up with the All-Rounders Awards for the 3rd year in a row, which, to be honest, isn't too bad considering his age and his health and all the rest of it. So yeah, he's not been too bad.
You know what those cars need? The Caterham and the Corsa.
Go on then.
They need some modology stickers stuck on the side of them.
I'll see whether or not I can get away with it.
They'd probably kill us if we want to stick one on the Caterham.
Maybe. I mean, he's got a sticker on the back from the place that he bought it from, which I think looks really ugly. It's like a dark sort of military green color on the back of this sort of like purpley red Corsa. Sorry, on the back of the purpley red sort of Caterham. But yeah, but I don't know, because we got sent a few stickers. I didn't get sent a load, but then I don't want to waste them, because you never know. People might buy loads of them. You never know.
Right?
Yeah. Everybody in England should buy a Modology Motorsports sticker from me.
And everybody in the United States. So hey, I got you covered.
And everywhere in between, we'll see what's cheapest.
Yeah, we got to see the demand first, then we'll work on everywhere else.
Yeah. So sort of finally on that side of things, I only did a little bit of tinkering with the Mini, mainly stripping more of the interior out, and I modified the steering wheel hub so it's now all removable. So it's not as close to me as before, because the steering wheel hub had like a spacer, and then if I put on the removable steering wheel, it was another like inch, maybe an inch and a half closer again on top of that. So I managed to drop probably about half an inch off by taking off the 2-inch spacer, because obviously the removable section gives some sort of distance away from the hub itself. So now I'm a little bit more comfortable. I'm trying to do things, get in and out of the car, especially when I'm trying to do stuff in the driver's footwell because now I don't have the steering wheel anywhere in the way at all.
Yeah, but that's nice.
Oh, it is so nice. It's so nice. And it's like for me, it's a bit of an odd thing for me because I've never had a removable steering wheel, so it's sort of like a new thing for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's pretty much it at the moment until I get a little bit more get up and go instead of it going up and disappearing off. I'll need to. I've got a few things sort of piled up on the side that I need to do videos for, but finding some time and all the rest of it coming up to the wedding has been a bit hard. So I'm hoping that either I get a little bit of time just before the wedding so that I can put a few things up whilst I'm away.
Yeah,
I'll be able to get that all sorted and make sure that we get at least one episode in the can whilst I'm away as well. So just in case. I'm at the end of the month, so we should be all right.
There is one thing with the Civic I forgot about that I didn't mention earlier.
Yeah.
And you talked about the coolant with the van. That made me think of it. This grand experiment I'm doing with this car of seeing how far I can drive this car into the ground before it just completely falls apart on me. Since the weather has been in the 90s here every day, I'm going through a gallon of water like every 2 days in that car.
Damn.
Yeah, that's how bad it is. Now it's not in the oil. It's coming out the tailpipe.
Oh.
Yeah, but if I let it, if I'm driving home and I stop for any reason, usually it won't overheat until I'm near the house. But if I stop for any reason and then take and start the car back, it is a bitch to get it to start. Because all that moisture, all that water is getting in the cylinder.
Oh, you're going to mess up your cylinders.
I'm going to end up hydrolocking it and breaking a rod is what I'm worried about.
Yeah.
Because now, like, if I drive to work, by the time I get to work, it's starting to skip where the water's getting in it.
Oh.
Yeah. My thing right now, the only reason I drive it to work and back, and that's it. I try not to stop anywhere in between. I started at work and I cut it off in front of the house, and that's it. I talked to you just on Messenger, told you, look, this car is just not fun to drive anymore. I'm tired of having to worry while I drive it.
No, I remember you saying that, and I'm like, you know what you need to do?
Fix the damn Accord.
Yep. Get your ass outside underneath that awning and fix that goddamn Accord.
That's right. Well, we didn't really have any news this week that I looked around. I didn't really see anything like stupendous that I wanted to mention, except for one little thing for two reasons. There was an article I saw about the Supra, and it was a guy from Toyota was saying that, a lot of people really praised the older 2J engine, the 2J GTE that came in the older Supra.
Mm.
And he said a lot of, this is proven that what it can do, what kind of power you can make out of that engine. And he says, so he's looking for a lot of people to swap the 2J into the new Supra. And he said, if you're planning on doing this swap, at least buy the 4-cylinder version of the car. There's going to be a 4-cylinder Supra. And I don't know how I feel about that.
I feel disappointed.
I do too. Because I figure that's like it's not quite a supercar, but it's a sports car at least. And you put a 4-cylinder in that, what are you doing? Nissan isn't putting a 4-cylinder in the GTR.
I don't know. When you said that to me, my head just automatically started shaking.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't like that. A base model 4-cylinder Supra. That's just a Celica. That's not a Supra. Well, that's what they're doing with the 86, right? The Toyota 86. That's just a 4-cylinder.
Yeah, but they actually seem to somehow manage to make some decent power out of it. I'm not 100% sure how.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'd love to see one, see what it looks like, because I hear they're doing some work with BMW for the design of this car and some of the engine stuff. So it may not be as bad as we think, but even BMW specializes in like 6s and 8s. They don't really mess with 4-cylinders, do they?
I don't know. There seems to be some sort of love for 4-cylinders at the moment. I mean, I know I've got, the engine in mine is a 4-cylinder, but, at least it's supercharged. But I don't know. I don't know.
But not in a damn Supra.
But not in a damn Supra. I just don't, in my mind, I do not see a Supra with a 4-cylinder engine.
I know. That's like when they started doing the 4-cylinder like Ford Mustangs. It's like
Wow.
it should at least be a 6 at the
Can,
very
can,
least.
can the four-cylinder actually pull it forward?
Yeah, like what's it called? The EcoBoost 4-cylinder. And you look at
Eco.
the back of the Mustang, and it's the one with one tailpipe instead of the pair in the back.
Mm.
Yeah, they don't really put the badging on it that says EcoBoost, but that's what the engine's called, the EcoBoost 4-cylinder.
Who buys a car like that to have an EcoBoost engine in?
Maybe you just want just that Mustang body. You don't
Yeah.
want the power, you know,
Wow. I
for,
suppose
for grandma or for some teenagers that you don't need a V8.
all show no go.
All
Yeah,
right.
it's a bit pointless.
So disappointing. Marcus, get us out of this disappointing funk and let us know what our top videos were.
Top videos. Surprise, surprise. The Ford Focus radiator replacement at 5,702 minutes.
It's getting up there, man.
The radiators are still fucked.
Yeah.
They're breaking all over the place, and everyone wants to see it. In number 2, the dash cam compilation number 1 at 4,109 minutes.
In 1 month.
In 1 month.
Busted up to number 2.
Oh, yeah. So dropping down to number 3, the Honda Civic Brake Master Cylinder at 2,538 minutes.
I was looking at all of our top 5 videos by viewing minutes, and there's not one now that has less than 1,000 viewing minutes for 28 days.
No, which is really good. So that's really helping with our hopes and dreams at some point one day actually getting some sweet YouTube money.
So if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel yet, we are so close now to 100 subs.
Yeah, I think we're 83 now, aren't we?
Yeah, 83 subs. And as soon as we get 100, we can change the URL for the YouTube channel. And that's like our first goal is to be able to change that URL because it'll look so much better than what it is now.
Yeah, I was filling in an application for something that I'm going to tell you about after the podcast ends.
Okay.
And they were like asking for the YouTube channel URL, and I just like shamefully copy and pasted this random assortment of letters and numbers in, and I shook my head and then just hit enter.
They'll know just from that. Oh, they don't even have 100 subs yet.
Damn.
No.
Stuck. But yeah, no, we're getting there. I mean, to be honest, we're in July, so we're not doing too bad. I don't think.
No, if we could hit it before the end of the year, I'd be happy with that.
Yeah, I'd be happy with that.
I can quit pestering all my friends and family and be like, well, hey, look at that. Click this link and then click subscribe.
Damn it.
Where else? And don't unsubscribe. What's wrong with you? Don't do that.
Yeah, I think it was weird because I think someone accidentally unsubscribed thinking that they hadn't subscribed before. And you saw literally on the same day, it dropped 1 sub and came back 1 sub.
All right. Well, all right. Let's get ready to wrap this thing up. If you've got opinions on the 4-cylinder Supra, if you live outside the United States and Europe and you would like a Modology Motorsports sticker, or you want to call or write in and berate me for still not getting this Accord running it and letting my Civic fall apart, you can send all your request or hate mail to modologymotorsports@gmail.com. MODOLOGY motorsports@gmail.com.
You can catch us on Twitter at Modology Motors.
And our Facebook group is growing. We just got a new member the other day. If you want to join in on that and see all the stupid videos I post, it's facebook.com/group/Modology Motorsports, or just search for Modology Motorsports in the search bar in Facebook. If you want to hit us up on Twitter, give me a reason to tweet. I look at Twitter all the time, and I always want to tweet something, but I don't know what to tweet. I always think maybe if I had more car people interested in what I had to say, maybe I'd tweet more. But so add me at Hesser414.
And you can add me at Brunt_Marcus.
Well, all right, Marcus, that wraps up another one. I need to get busy on some cars finally, and I got a whole list of stuff I got to go over after the show with you about future plans for the website and YouTube and podcasts and such. So we got to get out of here.
Brilliant. Okay, well, I think that's a wrap.
All right, well, thanks for joining us, everybody, and we'll see you next time.
Cheers, guys. Bye.